I'll be talking about the foundations that make the cool things work that the panel was talking about earlier. When you want to do the high level stuff that AI does, you have to have a good foundation in your data infrastructure. And I'll be speaking out how we can and why we have to do it in the first place, and then I'll take us a journey through our own journey of how we did it. Oh, just a quick introduction. I'm Ram. I work with Standard Earth. I've been there for the last 4 years. I'm the senior data analyst. And what's Standard Earth? If you don't know, we are a group of strategists, policy and issue experts and communicators, and we primarily work in the environmental nonprofit space based out of US and Canada. And we have been clients of Engage Networks for like last 5 years and hopefully in the future as well. Uh, and now let's talk about why we want to do it, why we need to invest in it. The first thing is establishing a single source of truth. For example, if you have millions of supporters in your database, uh, how can you trust it without a single source of truth? How do you know how many duplicates do you have? You don't know that without establishing that in the first place. So establishing that is the primary thing to avoid duplicates, and also having a comprehensive and integrated view of your supporters, basically because they may be taking actions and doing donations in multiple sources. You may be doing it through engaging networks, through Facebook ads, or it may be through offline fundraising, things like that. But without that comprehensive view, you don't know what a person is doing, and with your organization across the platforms. And that's really crucial to establish, and it will help you remove those data silos and increase the adoption, and also increase the way that you can segment people out in terms of your communications as well. And next is, of course, measuring your programs. To better measure your programs, you need to have establish some tracking mechanisms. How, for example, if you're sending an email out, you need to have those trackings in place so that you could measure the amounts of dollars that you're getting back in terms of the fundraising push can be attributed to that particular email or not. Those kind of mechanisms have to be established to measure those program effectiveness. And also over a time, you have to use data to make the decisions. You cannot just rely on your intuition all the time. Of course, many people try to do it. Sometimes our intuitions are not correct and data proves it wrong. And also to scale those programs properly, when you are a small organizations, the data may not seem much, but the moment you start growing, and without a data backed decision making strategy, you won't be able to make you won't be able to grow further beyond a point, and also you won't be able to make an impact beyond a point. So that's why you need to make the you need to invest. Now, what are the challenges? The main challenges you would face without a robust infrastructure is inefficiencies. If the tech stack that you're using is not integrated, then you will face a lot of inefficiencies, a lot of manual imports, manual exports, and a lot of manual entry, data entry things that will only increase the inaccuracies in your systems, and it will in turn result in higher risk of errors, and in terms of the data handling. And also, you may be sending the same email to the same person on the same day thrice. That's because you had same person multiple times in your database. That's what I was talking about earlier, to not have a single source of truth. And also, you will not have a complete insight of of your programs, how they're actually performing, to measure and improve the on how they're impacting your work, to measure that. And you won't have that insight without that infrastructure in place. Now, that's the why part. Now let's talk about how you would do it. It's not a sprint. I would like to start with. It will be a marathon. If you want to invest in your data infrastructure, you cannot just treat it as a one-time project. It's a continuous thing that you have to keep on investing and keep on working in it. Now, it all starts with the leadership from the top. Now, if without the support of top leadership, you will not be able to achieve anything. And that leadership has to be support has to be long term. It cannot be just you have 1 year do whatever you want to do, and then we're going to move away. We're going to remove the support, or we're not going to give you any more money. That's not going to work. You have to invest in it long time to see any results. And for example, our at our organization, we kind of started this data infrastructure push around 7 years ago, I would say, long before COVID hit, actually. That kind of helped us sail through COVID quite nicely without getting much impacted at our work. And it actually helped us grow our supporters 5 times. We were in, like, our supporters were like few hundred thousands at that point. Now we're into millions. Uh, and our organization revenue increased 3 times because of that. And on our program issue areas actually double. Like, for example, we were actually campaigning in around maybe 5, 6 campaigns at that time. Now we are actually supporting like 12, 13 campaigns. So basically doubled our program issue areas. That increased the complexity massively. And all this time, the leadership has been supportive of us. Like, even if we failed sometimes, they have been supportive of us. Like, they invested in us and continue to invest in our team to grow the systems further. Next, it's going to be business led. Like, it's not going to, like, whenever you're trying to set the infrastructure up from the ground up, you don't look at it from a tech stack perspective. You look at it from a business perspective, like where you are currently, what is your business needs, and also talk to the stakeholders involved in this. Like, there are digital campaigners, there are offline campaigners, there are, like, leadership team, there are consultants that you work with. Like, you need to take stakeholder input in understanding the business process, not just for today but for the future. Like, if you're thinking, like, near term goal of 5 years, in 5 years where your organization would be, and you have to plan for that now. And next step is assessing the current infrastructure, where the gaps are. Like, review that and identify where you're, like, where the choke points are, where the most improvements can be made. Like, that kind of assessment has to be done before you invest any money in it. Then, choosing the right tools. You have to spend a bit of time on research and ensuring the compatibility, security, and scalability of the tools that you choose. Because I think one of the panel members mentioned a one-way street and two-way street. With many of these tools, that would be a one-way street. If you choose the wrong one, it may cost you more, and you may be worse than where you were before. So choosing the right thing, is imperative, but it may not work all the time. Sometimes we make mistakes, and it happens. But most of the times, the more research and effort that you put before, the more happier you would be later on. And also then setting timelines and allocating resources. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, it cannot be a one-time project. And also, you don't try to do it like, all at one time. You won't be able to do it. Follow a phased approach. And, just as I mentioned earlier, like, we took us 5 years to be where we are right now. Ours is a pretty integrated system right now, but it took us 5 years to get there. And when we started out, our CRMs were not talking to our website. Our website is not talking to our marketing automation. Like, we kind of integrated all of them together, and it took us 5 years to do it. Not just that thing, but everything else, building models around our data and creating dashboards so that our end users can use it to make business decisions. Like, all those things takes time. So also do a phased approach, so that you won't put too much effort, like too much time. It won't be too much time consuming at the start, but thinking about capacity and resources of your own organization, you do a phased approach, and it would be successful in the long run. Oops, sorry, going in the wrong direction. And then document. Always make the documentation as clear as possible, because people come and go, staff change, and even you don't remember what you did 6 months ago or why you did it. So I mean, I don't remember actually. So I don't know about others. But yeah, and also the training of your team is the most important. Like, the documentation and training is not an afterthought. It has to be a center of your project. Like, it cannot be just left out for as a afterthought, like we always usually do with the trainings. Because a chain is only strong as its weakest link. And even if the one member of your team who is using the systems enter a wrong bit of data, that will impact your overall infrastructure. So the training and documentation have to be paramount, and conduct workshops, talk to the stakeholders, train them and do it again and again. It's not going to be one time thing. It has to be multiple times and going as a process that goes on. Oh, again. And then frequently you have to monitor and evaluate. You have to establish some KPIs, like efficiencies, how you track those efficiencies, how you track ROIs, which will be different for every use case. You have to establish them, and you have to gather feedback from periodic times, and then evaluate your current situation from time to time. So it has to be an iterative process going forward. It cannot be just a, I know, if you want to talk in a project management sense, you cannot just follow a waterfall approach. You have to be more agile, if I can say that. Just reevaluate, gather feedback, and do it again and again. Uh, Now, I would like to just share our own journey. I won't be going into too much details here, but I'll just show some overall top level details, like how we did it at our organization. It all started with the CRM selection, actually. I kind of cheated here because the Salesforce, we always had it. I think it's been with us for 17 years now. We have used it, and we only went to Engage Networks 5 years ago. The reason we went to Engage Networks is following. I think we were on Classy before. We moved to Engage Networks for a few reasons. Like, Engage Networks allowed us to do digital advocacy, digital fundraising, do marketing automations, and also integrate data with Salesforce all at the same time, all in one interface. That kind of helped us narrow down our number of CRMs that we use. And now we can also do texting in Engage Networks. So we're trying to do that as well. So that kind of established our core of our tech stack. And every decision that we ever made after this point, after choosing Engage Networks and Salesforce, centered around whether it could integrate with these two systems, whether it could work with these, things like that. The next thing that we did was we established an internal syntax, naming syntax, and tech tracking mechanisms. When I say naming syntax, every email that we send out or every page that we create in Engage Networks has a naming syntax, which you see when you open an Engage Networks page. You see the name. It's not, our campaigners won't just use any random name. They follow a syntax. We gave them a simple Excel sheet where they can just choose the options, and the system will give, where the sheet will give back the name that they have to use for their use case. It's true for email, it's true for pages, it's true for texting, and this will be different for every organization. We follow this. Your organization has different needs. But having that naming syntax and asking people to follow it religiously will help you in the long way, because now what I can do is I can separate out emails on pages based on geo, what's the goal, what's the campaign profile of the supporters and the team that's sending out, because we have multiple teams that are sending those emails out. If we don't have it in the name, we have no idea who is sending what. So things like that. And also the page URLs will of course have the UTM parameters and tracking IDs, which will link those transactions coming back into your systems. So this is one of the basic things that we kind of established right at the start. And we built on it, because when we started this, we didn't have texting. So we added texting then. We didn't have social media ads. Then we added social media ads syntax. We started with email, but kept on adding new stuff as we, forayed into other systems. Then we kind of chose one data warehouse where we can collect data from all of our systems. We have CRMs, we have website analytics from our website, we have social media ads data, we have organic social media data, we have texting. All the things we kind of made a single data warehouse. We could choose many, because you could choose one, but there are many in the market. You have Google BigQuery, Snowflake, Amazon Redshift. There are many in the market, and you could not go wrong with anything. But we chose Google platform because we already had all the Google Suite apps with us, and then we could do BI dashboarding with Looker, and we could do ads and organic traffic through Google Ads and YouTube Ads, search ads. and then web analytics through Google Analytics. So all of this can be integrated together because they're all Google products. So we chose Google Cloud Platform because of that. And we expanded our website as well after that from one website to 14 websites right now. We chose WordPress management to do that. And we increased our social media footprint from one to like initially Facebook to all the major social media platforms out there. And it all happened over time. And now, just to show you the complexity of our integrations that we currently have, this is how we have it. That's how the data flows across our multiple tech stack. Some of them, and 95% of them are automated. There are still some, manual imports happening here and there, but is this perfect? No, it's not, because we still have work to do. We still need to integrate some of the other things as we grow. But it's, as I said earlier, it's a marathon. It's not a one-time sprint. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm really exciting to see quite a journey you all have been on, and a lot of work involved. So amazing job, amazing job. Hi, everybody. This is the first time really seeing you all today. Sean Dotson, nice to see you all. Okay, let's get into some of these questions. So to start off, you talked about this being a journey. You talked about taking a phased approach, right? So how did you decide where to start? And then furthermore, I guess, how did you come to think about defining those phases and prioritizing them?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the way we went about was we chose the CRM first. We always had Salesforce, as I mentioned earlier. It became easy for us because we had a CRM. All we needed was an email marketing tool, and there are multiple in the market. And then we chose the marketing tool as Engage Networks, and then everything else became fall in place. And as I mentioned earlier, the data warehouse was the second step that we tackled, because without data, there is no data warehouse, right? So first we created data using CRM and marketing tools. Then we created the data warehouse because we needed an integrated view of all of our supporters. Once we had that data warehouse, then we used that to create the dashboards that we need for the end users. So that's the last part. Everybody sees only the dashboards, not the work that goes behind it. And even within the data warehouse, we had to build data models because the raw data is not something that you would put directly into a dashboard. We built those models first in Google BigQuery itself, but then we moved on to dbt to have some granular control over it. So that goes like that, first CRM, then we chose the data warehouse, because initially we only had CRM. We didn't have website analytics. We didn't have social media ads. Once we introduced social media ads, we had to have a data warehouse. So that's how we went about it.
Thank you. I like this question. Have donors been active on the supporter hub, which you had on one of your slides, and do they actually use it to update their details and monthly gifts?
Actually, they do. Some of them do use that, and we give them options actually. If they want to just directly call us and make the updates, if they want us to make the updates, we will still do it. But we also give them the option of going to a sub portal and doing the changes themselves, because sometimes some donors don't want to give their credit card info to an organization. They prefer to do it by themselves, like self-serve options. We give them both options. Recently, we did find that it's more of a 50-50 split. So I would say, many people just want to call a customer service and just ask them to update things, but some prefer a self-serve option. So we do both.
I really love the giving them both options there. Yeah. Personally, I don't want to talk to anybody on the phone. I just want to log in. I want to see my stuff. I want to feel like I can hold it and know where it is, So very happy to see that. How do you ensure individuals at the organization follow the established naming syntax? What kind of internal rules do you have in place and education to make sure this is being followed?
Yep. That's why the training is the most important part. Every person that joins our organization goes through initial trainings. The first training that they go through is naming syntax, like name generator. They have to get familiar with the name generator first, and then that's the first rule that they get is use this every time you send an email out, every page that you create, no exceptions. And also, since we have the data flowing automatically to our dashboards, if somebody did not use that within a day, I would know. I mean, not me, but other people who are actually seeing the data out, they would know that they didn't use the syntax generator because the data won't show up there in the first place when it has to show up. And also, if they made a mistake when choosing the certain options on the name generator, the data will show up in a separate place. For example, they sent the email to US folks, but they chose Canada as the country, so the data will show up as a Canadian email data, so they will know the difference within a day. That's how we set it up. But since the training happens before they actually do the execution, most of the, 99% of the time, it doesn't, like, they don't make mistakes. I mean, they make mistakes while they may make mistakes while choosing the options, but they still use the name generator. It will be much easier to fix just one small mistake than just to get the name out. And that comes as a culture in the organization. Like, everyone has to do that. That's how we establish it.
Great, yeah, and I just want to use that opportunity to call out that as of our June release, we now have events in our audit logs for marketing tools. So when you need to find who might have made a mistake on the naming convention, you can do that now. It's an interesting question. With the increase in text spams, are your donors skeptical with your text campaigns?
They do actually. They are skeptical of texting donations. What we found out was because of the demographic of donors that we had, they kind of donate, like they want to donate more in the very channel that they came in. Like, for example, if somebody came through an email, they want to donate in the email itself. They don't want to donate in the texting. And historically, we had new joins coming through email, ads, and they want to donate through those channels. We did not have much of a texting new join program historically. We have the texting engagement program, but new joins don't come through texting all the time. So they are, like, because of the demographic change, it's changing recently, but they're still skeptical of donating towards the text. This is true for us, not for every organization is different because they have their own audience. Like, our audience are skeptical. Yes.
I saw a Reddit post recently that was talking about receiving all these texts and the option to text stop, and they were like, "Oh, that's just how they verify it's a live number if you text stop." So I had to be like, "That's not how that works at all." But there's still a lot of public education to do there. Okay, we are about at time, but I do like this question. Can you please give us an idea on the scale of this project in terms of time and budget? Now, you said it took about 5 years overall.
And it's not done yet. Like, as I mentioned earlier, it's not done. We try to do it as much as in-house as possible to conserve those costs because everybody is battling with the budget, and every time everybody is trying to get a piece of the pie all the time. So I cannot speak of the exact numbers because that's above my pay grade, I would say. But the timeline is, yes, in the last 5 years, all the things that you have seen did happen in the last 5 years. And there are things planned for the next couple of years as well. And whatever we wanted in terms of the budgetary resources, we had it. We had the support from our leadership team. That's all I can say.
Okay. Now, there are a few questions we're not going to have time to get to, but please do come talk to Ram, and I'm happy to introduce you, especially about if you're going to shift from Nonprofit Success Pack to Nonprofit Cloud. You have a quick answer on that one?
Well, until the Salesforce kicks us out, we are not thinking about moving because we talked to a couple of consultants, and they just said that for our complexity of Salesforce, because we had it for 17 years and we had so many automations going through, it's going to cost us about $150,000 to $200,000, which is huge for us. So yeah, and Salesforce itself is saying wait a couple of years. So yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Let's have a round of applause for